Hallo, ek is Iti. Welkom by my kanaal waar ons als saam doen. Afrikaans het ongelooflik baie gesegdes wat ons amper op 'n daaglikse basis gebruik. For the purpose of this video, I have grouped sayings, idioms, and expressions all together in one video. So some of these things that I'm going to teach you are classified as sayings, some as idioms, some as expressions. We have so many in Afrikaans. It is actually, I knew we had many. I didn't think that we use that many on a daily basis or very commonly. And then I realized as I was having conversations with other people that I'm actually using some of these sayings, expressions, idioms in conversations on a daily basis. And I was actually shocked at how many I use and didn't even realize until I started thinking about it. So idioms and sayings, expressions are really a very big part of Afrikaans and of conversations in general. It's not something that is used once in a while, and it's actually very common within general conversations. So with that said, hier is 12 gesegdes, idiome, uitdrukkings wat gereeld in Afrikaans gebruik word. Duim vashou. That translates to holding thumbs. It's the Afrikaans holding thumbs. Same expression used in the same way. So what happens if somebody goes for a big exam and they tell you, I'm going to write a big exam this afternoon. And then you can tell them, ek sal vir jou duim vashou. Or that person can ask you, sal jy asseblief vir my duim vashou vir die eksamen vanmiddag? So that's just a way of telling somebody that you're thinking of them and you wishing them good luck, and you'll be holding thumbs. So in the bottom right corner, you'll see I've given you ways in which you can use it. Sometimes it's used in different ways in a sentence, and some of the words might move. So we'll look at the first one, ek hou duim vas vir jou, which is the most common way of saying I'm holding thumbs for you. Ek sal duim vashou, which is I'll be holding thumbs in the future. Hou duim vas vir my asseblief, which is what I was referring to. That's somebody asking you, will you please think of me? Will you please hold thumbs for me? Ek hou duime vas. I'm holding thumbs. And then ek sal duim vashou vir jou, which is also just I'll be holding thumbs in the future for you. So those are ways that duim vashou is used in conversation and in sentences. Iemand in die rede val. This is used when you interrupt somebody's conversation. So somebody's speaking and you just start talking. They haven't finished their thoughts or their reasoning, what they were busy with, and you just start talking. That is iemand in die rede val. Bottom right corner, I've given the example of how to use it in a sentence. Hy val my in die rede. So he is interrupting my thoughts, or he is interrupting what I'm saying. Moenie my so in die rede val nie. That's when you get angry because somebody keeps on talking over you. Dit is onbeskof om iemand in die rede te val. So that means it's rude to interrupt somebody while they're talking. Boeglam skrik. That is when you are frightened out of your mind, or somebody is frightened out of their mind by something that happened. Boeglam is the intensive form of the word lam. Lam can be translated to paralyzed or lame, more paralysis rather. Boeglam is just the intensive form of lam. And I will make future videos on intensive form of certain words in Afrikaans because, again, there are many of those as well. So, yes, boeglam skrik is just really frightened to near death is what it means. So when you get a big fright, bottom right corner, you'll say, ek het my nou boeglam geskrik. And it's mostly used in that sentence structure. Bo iemand se vuurmaakplek. This is a very commonly used idiom. It means a task or something is above your or somebody else's abilities or capabilities. Whatever must be done is beyond that person's abilities. It's out of their league. Then you use bo my of bo hulle vuurmaakplek. Now the word vuurmaakplek is place where you make fire. That's the close literal translation of it. The place where you make a fire. Let's put it that way. Now I'm not exactly sure why. There might be a reason. I'm sure there's a reason why it's used in that context, vuurmaakplek. But that is what that word indicates, a place where you make a fire. Vuurmaakplek. So, dit is bo my vuurmaakplek. Of, dit is bo sy of haar vuurmaakplek. So, when the boss comes in and he tells Sunny she must do that difficult accounting calculations for the year end, and it's not Sunny's job, but he wants her to do that because whomever should be doing it is, let's say, that person's on leave. And then the rest of the staff looks around and they're like, nee, dit is bo haar vuurmaakplek. Meaning, no, that is above her abilities. Sunny should not be doing the accounting calculations. She is going to mess it up. So then we just say, nee, dit is bo haar vuurmaakplek. Tou opgooi. I am familiar with this one. It is the way of saying giving up. Literal translation for tou is rope, and opgooi is throwing it up in the air. If it's relates to the rope, opgooi is also a word we use for throwing up, but in this context, it's not that. I think so. We've got tou, which means rope, and opgooi, which means literally it'll mean throwing it up in the air or throwing it. I think in that context it means throwing the rope away, or I stand corrected. But the meaning translation of it means giving up. So when you want to tell somebody to not give up, the first example in the bottom right corner says, Moenie tou opgooi nie. You'll say that to somebody when you want to tell them or encourage them, don't give up. Moenie tou opgooi nie. Or you can tell them, jy mag nie tou opgooi nie, which means, or that's a way of saying, you are not allowed to give up. When you're really talking to somebody that's just at the end of their rope and they really can't anymore, they just want to give up. You tell them you are not allowed to give up. I am not giving you permission. Not in a controlling way, just in a way where you tell them, I'm here, I will support you, I will hold you, I'll be here for you, but I am not giving up on you and I'm not allowing you to give up on yourself. So then you will tell them, jy mag nie tou opgooi nie. And then if you want to tell somebody that you've given up, you say, ek het tou opgegooi. I've given up. 'n nuuskierige agie. This is a way of referring to somebody that is too curious, that wants to know what's going on all the time, often used to refer to a child, but and mostly maybe used to refer to a child, but I've used it to refer to adults, and we do use it to refer to an adult as well. But it's usually in reference to a child that is just overly curious, that is wanting to know things about business that they shouldn't be wanting to know things about. So in that case, you will say, jy is 'n nuuskierige agie, when you want to tell somebody you are just way too curious. Or you want to tell somebody stop it, and you just tell them hou op om in 'n skierige aagie te wees. Stop being so curious. Stop poking your head where it doesn't belong. Yeah. 'n uiltjie knip. Also something I love doing. 'n uiltjie knip refers to taking a nap. And this is usually during the daytime, but I guess you can say a kind of uiltjie knip at night as well if you're going to lie down and sleep for half an hour and then get back up and do something. But often used during the day when you're just going to take that 30-minute nap, which I do not specialize in. It takes me 30 minutes to get partially to sleep, and then it takes me another 30 minutes to fall asleep. So, but 'n uiltjie knip, the word uiltjie means little owl. Knip means knip. It can mean cut. Knip also means when you blink. Knip. So in this case, it's like uiltjie, small owl, little owl, blink. Ek gaan 'n uiltjie knip. That's my translation. But it means taking a little nap, usually during the day, and you'll just tell somebody, listen, ek gaan gou 'n uiltjie knip, so I'm quickly gonna take a nap. Ek gaan 'n uiltjie knip. Or if you want to refer to past tense, ek het 'n uiltjie geknip. Or if you want to refer to somebody else, hy het 'n uiltjie geknip. So that's geknip, past tense. Or the present tense, ek knip 'n uiltjie. Niks met iemand uit te waai nie. This means it is none of somebody else's business. So that situation has nothing to do with you, me, her. That situation is none of your business. Then you tell somebody, dit het niks met jou uit te waai nie. Often used in Afrikaans. So let's look at the bottom right corner. Dit het niks met jou uit te waai nie. You say that to somebody when you want them to butt out of your business. Dit het niks met my uit te waai nie. It's none of my business. Dit het niks met ons, julle, hulle uit te waai nie. So the way you use it is pretty much the same you'll see in the sentence structure. Just depends on whether you're referring to yourself, somebody else. But say that to the next person that is poking where they do not belong, and you just tell them, listen, dit het niks met jou uit te waai nie. In die pad val. That means be on your way, to be on your way, to leave. Ek gaan nou in die pad val. I am going to be on my way now. So the first sentence there is, laat jy in die pad val. And that is when somebody tells you to leave, or to be on your way. Laat jy in die pad val. That's usually when your mother looks at you and is like, you are supposed to be running errands. So be on your way. Go to the shop. Then she'll look at me and say, laat jy in die pad val. Be on your way. So the next one, bottom right corner, says, ek gaan in die pad val. So I'm going to be on my way. Ek gaan nou in die pad val, which means I'm going to be on my way right now. Hy het vroeg in die pad geval, which means he left early. Alle grappies op 'n stokkie. In English, this is all jokes aside. Grappies is the Afrikaans word for jokes, and stokkie is the word for little stick. So literally, this would translate to all jokes on a little stick. But in English, that's not how it's used. In English, that will be in conversation, all jokes aside. Alle grappies op 'n stokkie. So how you will use this in conversation, you'll be joking with a friend, having light or polite conversation, and then at some point the tone of the conversation changes and you or this person says, alle grappies op 'n stokkie. And then okay, fine. Now we're being serious. We're changing this conversation's tone to serious now. And then you'll tell them, alle grappies op 'n stokkie. Ek is bekommerd oor Jannie. So that'll mean, all jokes aside, I am worried about Jannie. And we use it like that. alle grappies op 'n stokkie, and then you continue with whatever you're going to say after that. So it changes the tone from a light tone to a serious tone. You're being serious after you said alle grappies op 'n stokkie. Whoa, stop the boat now. Okay, we have to be serious now. Alle grappies op 'n stokkie. 'n hond uit 'n bos. This one we also use very often. It's a fun one. 'n hond uit 'n bos. Now, the literal translation, or the closest literal translation, would be a dog out of a bush. Now, it makes no sense in another language, but in Afrikaans, so hond is dog, the word for dog. Uit is out, and bos is a bush. So, 'n hond uit 'n bos. This is a expression we use when we are trying to convey that whatever it is that we are doing to a very large level of enjoyment that's really got momentum. It's like we're really going at it. Yeah, well, yeah, it can be applied to a lot of things, but 'n hond uit 'n bos. So the examples of this would be that you have a braai, as we do in South Africa, and then you'll tell somebody, hulle braai nou 'n hond uit 'n bos. Like, they are really having a fun time at the braai. They're really going for it. This braai has got some momentum. It's got body. It's just like a fun, really involved. The braai it's going 100 miles an hour. Then you say, ons kuier 'n hond uit 'n bos. Also, if you're talking on the phone to your best friend, and your mother is having a conversation with somebody else and she wants to tell somebody what you are up to at that time, she'll say, hulle praat 'n hond uit 'n bos. So she'll be referring to you and your friend on the phone, and she'll be telling her friend, listen, they are talking like nobody's business. They are having this conversation of a lifetime now. Hulle praat 'n hond uit 'n bos. So 'n hond uit 'n bos is really just to emphasize something is going like really intensely, really well. It's just got so much body momentum and strength, whatever it is that they're doing, 'n hond uit 'n bos, which usually indicates a very high level of enjoyment and intensity. And then you'll say 'n hond uit 'n bos. Van die hand wys. This means to refuse something or to turn something down. And we'll use it and say, ek gaan dit van die hand wys. So I'm going to turn this down or refuse this. Or ek het dit van die hand gewys, which means I've already turned it down or refused it. Hy, sy, ons, julle, hulle sal dit van die hand wys. So they are going to turn it down or they're going to refuse it. So you can look at the bottom right, just if you want for future use, to see how it's used in the different tenses and in sentences. Ek wys dit van die hand. I turn it down. So with those 12 sayings, idioms, expressions, it's been a mixture of all of those, or it's been a mixture of some of those. I'm definitely going to make more videos on exactly the same thing, because we have, as I said, so many, and these are not necessarily the most used ones. These are ones that I use quite often. There are others that I use quite often. It was a difficult decision to decide what to put in this first video, because these aren't, like I said, the most used necessarily. They are often used, but not necessarily the most. It's also going to depend on the individual and what kind of conversations they have and how they express themselves. But there are a good at least 50 that is quite often used. And it does, like I said, make up a strikingly large amount of the language in conversation that I wasn't quite, I didn't quite realize how much we use these expressions and sayings and idioms in Afrikaans in just casual conversation until I started really thinking about it, and then I realized, wow, I find myself using it all the time and I didn't even realize. Right, so more of this will follow. And then, yeah, the other thing, I didn't want to make the video strictly on, oh, this is idioms, these are expressions, these are sayings, in an academic sense, because the goal of these videos, or the goal that I want for these videos, are for people to look at it and be able to learn things from these videos that they can put into play almost immediately, or that you can learn the saying expression and how to use it in the language without getting too technical about, oh, is this a saying, is this an expression, is this an idiom or a proverb. That's fine, those things aren't bad to learn, and the grammar is good, but for learning a second, third, fourth, fifth language, you want to be able to put what you've learned into practice as soon as possible. You're not necessarily going to learn all of the grammar to a very high academic level, or all of the correct, this is correct in this sense, and all of the technical things about grammar. So I'm really trying with these videos to give you a functional grasp on these expressions, because we use it so often. And it's very much part of the Afrikaans language. And I will stop talking now, because I am on a roll. Alright. Hopelijk gaan julle nou hierdie gesegdes oefen elke dag. Geniet dit, tot volgende keer. Totsiens.